Hi friends, in this video we'll cover how to manage users and groups in a Debian or Fedora based system like Ubuntu or Red Hat. This will also work for most other distros. Managing users and groups is an important part of working with any operating system in order to prevent unauthorized access to a system. We will cover the basics, and if the interest grows, I'm willing to cover this topic more in depth in the future. A user in Linux is an entity that can read and write files, but also gain access to a system and its resources to perform various tasks. A group is an organizational unit that contains users and manages their access to system and resources. A group defines a set of privileges like read, write, or execute. Make sure you cover some of the basics about working with Linux and Bash by watching my previous videos. In this video, I'll have two panes open. The left one is running Ubuntu version 20.04 and the right one is running Rocky Linux 8.5. which is the same as Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.5. The Ubuntu system is running Bash as a shell and Rocky is running Fish, which I already covered in previous videos. Linux stores a list of users in the file etc/password. We can look inside this file using the cat command. There are two types of user accounts, human accounts and system accounts. Each line in this file is a user, but most of them are system accounts that are needed to run services like system logs, mail, or databases. Each account contains 7 fields, separated with a colon. As you can see, Ubuntu uses more system accounts than Rocky Linux. First field is the username, which is used to log in. It must be between 1 and 32 characters. The second field usually has a X value inside it, which means that this account has an encrypted password assigned to it, and the password is stored inside etc/shadow file. An asterisk means the account is disabled. An exclamation point means the account is locked. We'll look into the shadow file later in the video. Third field is the user ID. Anything below 1000 is reserved for system accounts like services, and anything starting from 1000 and above is for human users. Fourth field is the group ID. Each new user gets by default its own group, and that group has an ID. This is also the main group for the user. The group's information is stored inside etc/group file. Just like user ID, group IDs starting with 1000 and above are for human users. We'll cover groups later in this video. The fifth field is for adding extra user information, also called geckos. It allows you to add comments that are optional. The sixth field is the absolute path to the home directory for this user when they log in. If this field is empty, then the root directory becomes user's home directory. The seventh and the last field is for a command or shell path for the user. All system accounts have this field set to no login or false, which means that the account cannot be used to log in into a shell. This is a security measure. No login and false are almost identical. The difference is that the no login shows message about not being able to log in with this account, and false prevents login without a message. For extended information about each field, use the man command. We can add a new user with adduser command followed by a username. Just make sure to run it using sudo. This will prompt for additional information for some of the other fields, which are optional. Now let's look inside the shadow file, where all the encrypted passwords are stored. We need to access the file with sudo. First field is the username, just like the previous file. Second is the encrypted password, which means you don't see the actual password, but an encrypted version of it. An asterisk means the account is disabled, and exclamation point means it's locked. Third field is the number of days since 1970 the account is changed. Fourth field is how long to wait before the user can change their password. Fifth field is number of days until password expires. Sixth field is the number of days before user is reminded to change their password. Seventh is number of days after an expired account will be disabled. Eighth is number of days account is disabled. And the ninth and last field is reserved for future use. Now let's take a look at groups. A list of all groups is stored in etc/group. And we can list it using cat as we did before. But we don't need sudo for this. First field is the group name. Second is group password, but is never used. Third field is a numeric ID for the group. Fourth and the last field is a comma separated field with users that are a member of that group. We can add users to a group with the usermod command followed by dash lowercase a capital G flags. Here we add two users to the sudo group, and we can list the members of the sudo group by listing the etc/group file and pipe it with grep. For more information about piping or redirection, watch my video about basic concepts in bash. In order to create a group, use addgroup command, prefixed with sudo and followed with a group name. If you want to focus on one user to get its account information and group membership, then use the id command, followed with the username. And to delete a user or group, you can use deluser or delgroup commands. But when deleting a user, make sure to delete their home directory as well, with --remove -home option. Otherwise, a future user with the same name will be given access to the same directory with all the files. And don't forget to use sudo when deleting. Hope you enjoyed this video about basic user and group management in bash. If you want more in-depth information, then leave a comment and I'll try to cover it in a future video. I'll see you in the next video.